Ahoy to me proton, Hamish.
Very, very small, but very, very useful.
Ahoy to me neutron, Jacko.
Just as useful. Can't have one without the other.
And science doesn't actually know, but
And
I mean, you have a place.
and I'm an electron.
Okay.
We are parts of the atom.
We are the atom. Very, very small, very, very useful.
But you're
Oppenheimer, almost Oppenheimer based here, Ando.
Yeah, you're obviously the positive charge, Ham.
Thank you.
I've labelled Jack the negative charge.
And I actually don't know too much about the atom.
Yeah.
But you are whizzing around the outside, aren't you, Ando?
I've got no charge. I'm not in charge of anything. Actually, you shouldn't put Jack with that. I could be the negative person. I'll swap with you.
Does the electron... I can't believe we're having this discussion on the podcast, but does the electron have no charge?
The electron has no charge.
That would have been my first guess for charge-based parts of the atom.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that.
Yes.
See, this is the fun of science.
So electrons-
They were having this chat in the Manhattan Project, and then they probably knew more about it once they got in there, but
Yeah, the electrons surround the nucleus, no charge.
no charge, free of charge.
Completely for free.
Gratis. That means
So
Jack
Jack-
should be it, because
Yes.
he's always seeking things for no charge.
That's right. So let's really make that clear.
Actually, no, that's why Jack should be is he the neutron?
Yes.
He's most comfortable surrounded by things with no charge.
Yes.
So that's why he does belong in the center of the atom, so he's never too upset.
So he should be the electron rather
He
than the
should-
neutron.
no, but
that's the negative charge.
Yeah, no,
He'd
yeah,
like
but
money back. He'd like a rebate.
But I think he's in the middle. Is he in the middle of the atom, surrounded by all the electrons swirling around? That's why he enjoys he's bathing in a world of no charge.
We're going. I don't know enough, to be honest.
I mean, look,
yeah.
let's try and get Stephen Hawking on by the end of the show, but
Turn it off, Jack.
turn it off.
The whole thing.
Turn it off, Jack.
Oh no.
I don't.
Ooh, this is a real gear change. Don't tell me you've run out. I don't want to. I like this game. I don't want to stop playing this game.
I haven't run out.
Don't go back to saying hello in different languages.
What about that? It's like your brain blocks it out.
I won't. I won't.
Surprised we built such a following after those early years.
It's
And
not.
thank you to everyone that stuck through them.
It's. I'd love to laugh along with that.
Who doesn't love
Memory.
to laugh? That's what we come here for. Three friends having a laugh.
Nah, I'm not. I haven't run out
Good.
of little fun things that we could be in different worlds,
Groups. You get different aspects of various groupings.
but I'm not sure whether I can do another one ever again.
What's happened?
You definitely can.
Last week on the show, you guys may have seen this in the emails.
Oh no, was this about protons, neutrons, electrons?
Yes.
Science
There was.
wonder.
There was some heavy feedback on the email. Yeah, at the
I've
start
never
of the show.
been attacked so hard, Jack, in emails online.
You must have felt as small as a quark, Ando. Perhaps the smallest of the subatomic particles.
I accidentally gave the description for an electron when I was describing a neutron.
Which is a little bit uncomeback fromable.
Yeah. And then when I was describing an electron, I gave the description of a neutron. They were swapped.
Yes.
And we're all
Yeah.
culpable, really, because none of us even corrected.
Yeah, you didn't jump in, Ham.
Oh, really? Because if you listen, I've actually saw a few of the emails that do highlight Haim tried to say, oh, I'm not sure about that, but I was cut off. Anyway, one for us to listen out for.
You're writing into yourself.
Yeah, no, that came in from Jill Saunders.
I've received personal text messages
Sure.
from a lot of different people.
Yep.
And
This is the kind of thing that in the 20s actually would have ended a career.
Yeah.
Like, remember when, like, you know, you look at, for anyone that's seen Oppenheimer, around about that time where everyone's presenting papers, you goof up like this,
Yep.
you don't come back. This is an own goal in the World Cup final.
Exactly.
Like, this would be a career ender in the physics world.
and the hatred and you know, please explains.
Would you say the emails were positively charged or negatively charged?
Certainly negatively slanted.
Right.
And
Electrons.
it just obviously kept building and building, and then the media obviously had to pick it up. It's been a tough week.
So there's a huge story that went mega viral online.
If you open the newspapers, a lot of the front pages.
There's been a lot of angst in local newsrooms about this.
It genuinely took us all by surprise, and
This is it's become a lightning rod.
We're all disappointed when Hamish and Andy
Got it wrong.
Really made a big mistake here.
fundamentally wrong.
This is a failure, Brett, of historic proportions.
Plummeted to a new low.
They're the problem!
Identified as the main spreaders of false information in the country.
Why was the intelligence wrong in the first place? How did they get this so wrong?
Experts have called it a massive wake-up call.
We haven't taken this issue seriously enough.
The US President Joe Biden has threatened sanctions, including aid cuts and visa restrictions.
The Justice Department is investigating this.
Deliberately false stories manufactured to fool you.
Like, it might have some truth to it, but like maybe a word of truth, but not the whole truth.
People have a duty to research their own information.
I don't know if there's a role for the government, but I feel like there could be some outside body that sort of put their stamp of approval.
Just makes me even more suspicious.
Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely
Is that Obama?
on trusted news sources.
Australia cannot and should not back down. We are a self-respecting nation that believes in justice, transparency and accountability.
The Prime Minister has demanded an official apology.
New Zealand has registered our concern.
Give him one, Ando.
Factual, and of course that would concern us.
look, I think it was deliberately provocative. It was offensive, rightly condemned by all parties and by the Australian community. I think we are united as a community in our condemnation of it.
They're sickened by this. They're uncomfortable with it. Quote, my staff is up in arms about this.
It's as if you don't see the harm that you do to somebody.
The explanation about what happened has changed, and the communication has been troubled.
They'll try and offer excuses.
And we all can't wait to see
Yes, we will.
they are.
And here they come.
You know as well.
Sometimes in my role, like, we're joint presidents of the show, Ham, and we have advisors.
Yep.
We have a person that hands us cards as we head out to speak to the masses, and we're in a rush sometimes. We can't
This is
be
a buck pass. This is a shirk.
Mike is in charge.
I didn't expect a shirk.
Yes. If this
Shirk.
If this
All I do
was
is shirk.
West Wing or House of Cards.
I didn't remember
We'd
the
be-
president getting up and going, I was handing the wrong thing.
No, but someone always has
Someone's
to take the
responsible.
blame, and someone has
And
to
it's
resign.
not the president.
And it's not the
Are
president.
you going to push Mark in front of a train?
That does happen on House of Cards.
No, I won't do that. But
Generous.
Mike,
So you're saying Mike handed you the wrong definitions of subatomic particles that
I've
caused
still
last
got the
week's
piece of paper,
Sciencegate.
and it says that neutrons
Yep.
have a negative charge, which in fact they have no charge. They're neutral.
Hence the neutron. And I don't know if we've got audio of the instance, but I definitely remember trying to speak up against that injustice. But then I go, wait, he's got the paper. It's his game. I didn't do chemistry at high school. I just hung out with the legends that did. So maybe I've remembered it wrong.
Hey, it did remind me, though, of something else that happened last week when you received an email from yourself pretending to be a person called Darren.
No, I spoke on behalf of, as the government like to call them, Scott Morrison, especially the silent majority that I believed were out there. And I sent an email in accurately saying what I think a lot of people were thinking.
Well, this is what you thought a lot of people were thinking.
I think he was tipped off. I think you've got a rat in the rats. Okay. Sadly, I think the rat is Mike.
I do think that might be the case.
Because, yep, hate to say it, boys, you've got a weasel and a rat in the studio. It's a goddamn rodent fest in there. For some reason, Mike is in this deep and it stinks to high heaven. Flush him out. Interesting, Ando. So I thought Mike was a rat for the Pizza Lotto scandal. But it
now
turns
I'm
out he
thinking
was a rat.
he might
Handing
just-
you the wrong info. That's 2 shows in a row with possible rat-like behaviour.
Come on in, Mike. Come on
Now,
in, because
is it possible, Ando? I smelt a rat, but I just smelt him in the wrong room. But I did, so my brain was scrambled a little bit, but I was smelling rats.
Mike, look into our eyes.
Tell us cheese isn't your favourite food.
Are you purposely sabotaging our show?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
I would never do that.
Oh, that's not an answer.
I'm no. Well, okay, well, no.
That's just someone saying I'd hate to do that.
Yeah.
That could still be true. Mike, are you purposely sabotaging the show? Because we know you work on a lot of podcasts. And perhaps
on your email signature, ours wasn't even at the top.
Yeah,
when
that's true.
You used to have other podcasts that you work on. Ours was like, and oh, by the way, I do a little bit with these guys. Like it was just
Mike,
so insignificant on your email signature.
Look, as someone that follows you on Instagram, enjoys the content you put out, I see you doing very funny stuff. You've got your own podcast. It does technically make, given that we're really asking for people's attention when you do a podcast, we're extremely grateful that people would choose to spend their time with us. You've only got 24 hours in a day. So there's a limited amount of attention people can spend on podcasts. You've figured this out. You've seen us as a competitor for attention, and you've slowly begun to white out the show by doing very offensive things like handing us bad science facts.
I made a mistake. That's the reality of this situation.
That is very big of you.
I made a mistake, and the truth is I failed year 9 science and stopped science at school.
Oh, it's one of those levels. We should have put some music behind that. I didn't realise it was going to turn into a sob story. Continue the story, because this is
very rich. This is rich.
I failed year 9 science. I cheated off a guy called Michael Perks and got caught, and they gave me a fail for the whole year. And
did you really?
Yeah, because I was notoriously bad at sidence.
Did they remove you on a scholarship?
No.
Yeah, you're on a scholarship, half scholarship, Ando, half scholarship.
No, they were unrelated. They didn't remove.
But surely there would be a clause in the singing scholarship that you had to be of good character.
Yeah, you might have brought all the other choralists into disrepute.
What can I say? Maybe I was just that good at singing that they just didn't think
this kid out. No one cranks out of him like this kid. We've got to keep him
like a star footballer who's playing up on the weekends.
Come on, 10-strike policy. Okay, so that's it. So Mike, when you realised, okay, I've got a good grouping here of subatomic particles. That's a fun way to start the show.
Yeah.
You felt nervous and you were unsure of the descriptions.
Well, can I say, Andy and I probably agree, these are the hardest parts about making these shows.
No, it's not.
The hardest part. The hardest thing about the Hamish and Andy podcast.
I'm skis. I'm a toboggan. You're a snowboard. What are we? Things people use in the snow. All right, guys, go home. That's the hard bit over.
No, but now do 20 more of those.
Not 20 in a whole day.
I have to crank these out.
Once a week.
I get to the...
We do 40 a year, Mike. Let's be clear there. So if you are doing 20 a day, that's 2 mornings of work for the year and you're done.
I know, but I'm just saying, we record on a Tuesday.
Yeah, the sub music stopped. This isn't part of the sobbing.
This hasn't turned out to be the confession.
Okay.
Probably lost a lot of... I don't think there's a lot of sympathy out there for that.
There was what an array of emotions we've just gone through in the last 4 minutes.
That's true. What turned into a loving embrace? It turned into a witch hunt, a rat sniff, a loving embrace, and then back to a witch hunt.
Yes. One thing we heard that we never hear on this show is an admit of a mistake, which I think was just very refreshing.
That was nice, wasn't it? Like actually the buck stopping with someone rather than it being 50 passes around the back. Like usually the buck is passed around like someone trying to protect a 3-1 lead in the 85th minute.
So
can I also...
Like a new jumper. I'm not sure how that feels for this show.
It was strange to hear. We might have put a warning at the front. Like some podcasts have, like warnings about sensitive content and stuff. We could say, look, if you're a fan of the Hamish Andy Show, someone on this podcast will admit fault.
Yeah.
And
something you're not used
to. If that's something you're uncomfortable hearing from this show, maybe go to another episode.
But what I'd like to suggest, Mike, is that in the past when we've had these type of problems, we've asked for apologies in song. Jack, you've been on the receiving end of having to apologise through song.
It's the only way to apologise.
It's the language of sorries on this show.
You've got a half scholarship in singing.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like if you're happy, could we give you a week?
Mm-hmm.
You come back and apologise in song for us.
Yeah, and I'll apologise to your face. Like, I made you look like an idiot
I wasn't an idiot.
Well, a lot of people were saying Andy looks like an idiot.
And that will stick now.
I will.
Even though we've tried to undo it, there'll always be the slight stink of idiot on him.
Yeah. But I'm happy to apologize via song.
We'll get
Mike, this should be in your wheelhouse because it's just like year 9. Science has let you down. Music will bring you back.
I'd normally ring the bell, but Mike, you haven't brought it in.
Oh, no.
Add that to your song.
I actually think that's one of Carly's roles.
And it's nice to have some buck passing back.
Hey, we had to get to this. Obviously, it's been a week. We gave Mike a week to apologise in song for the injustice he bestowed on me and brought to the show.
Handed you the wrong definitions of subatomic particles during the intro of the show.
Yep.
Where you said the wrong definitions of neutrons, protons, and electrons.
Yes.
And the mocking that came through on the emails from those in the science community was
severe,
hotter than the sun. So slightly hotter than the sun's surface, around about 5,000 degrees Kelvin.
Yes. Hey, Mike, how do you feel you went with the song? Is it from the heart?
Yeah, it's from the heart, and I felt like I had a lot to say in the song. And I'm definitely sorry, but I think there's a few things I wanted to clear up in the song.
You were so contrite last week. You were so hand in hat, and you wanted, and what? So you walked away and went, "Hang on, this is unfair."
No, but I did want to point out,
mate, if this is a song about how hard you work, trying to think of 3 things that are loosely linked.
No, he did tell me he was run down today when I got in. I said, "How are you, Mike?" He said, "A bit run down."
I did notice.
How many days a week do you put in a timesheet for the show? Like, what do you
for this show specifically?
Yeah, like how many hours are you claiming?
I don't
you work?
think we need to get into my pay and my hours and everything like that. I don't think that's relevant to put on this podcast.
If you're claiming that you're overworked, I think it's extremely relevant.
I'm not saying I'm overworked. I'm saying it's very hard to come up with those things. Anyway. Now, I know...
By the way, actually, when I arrived at the station today, the receptionist, I arrived at 9:15.
Yeah.
I said to the receptionist, "Oh, how are you?" She goes, "Just trying to get through the day."
What is going on in this building, guys?
I said, "It's 9:15.
So far, so good.
Yeah. So, Mike, I'm not sure what's happening in here. If you're doing most of your work from here, maybe there's something.
Why don't we put Mike on reception for the day? See which is harder.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, that wasn't the angle we'd hoped for, but is there anything else we need to know before we hear the apology?
I log on to the emails where I'm working very hard. I notice all these emails. I instantly email you an apology, by the way. That hasn't been referenced.
That's true. Mike actually came straight to me and was very upset with himself. And I said, he's probably taking it a little heavy.
Yeah, because actually before he emailed you, he rang me in distress and said... What? He said, "I've made a mistake. I've given Andy the wrong information. Should I come clean? What should I do?"
Oh, right.
I also rang Carly.
You're doing such a good job of nearly doing the right thing. Like just that full mea culpa of going, I've made a mistake. But then following it up with, "Should I come clean?" It does show a high level of self-protection is going on in there. But we understand, Mike, you talked about it last week.
What did Jack say to you?
I think, Jack, can I say what you said?
I can't remember.
Jack actually said, "Who cares? It's just annoying nerds getting angry in the email."
We might need an apology song from Jack to the
Jack. How dare you? They're listeners of the show.
Anyway,
Mike,
yes.
We know, as you talked about, like this is a really sensitive topic for you. You failed science in year 9, and this obviously brought up a lot of demons.
Yeah.
So you're overworked, you're highly paid, and you run down.
Yeah.
You've got demons, but you managed to squeeze out a song, which we appreciate.
And here's my apology.
Guys, I feel like a monster, because everyone knows what a neutron is, but to Andy I didn't deliver. And now I'm asking, could you please forgive her? The fake news I provided like I'm on Twitter. Got a shock when I logged on. I'm seeing emails saying proton, neutron, electron. Started making me think, what the heck, Tron? I made Andy look like a freaking moron. You waited so long for Mike to weigh in. Got all the listeners exasperating. To hear a song where I take all the blame and finally put an end to all the Andy hating. Hey Hamish, you concentrating? Don't peter out while I'm here narrating. A classic story of my educated, where science was a subject I was definitely failing. So here's my apology about subatomic particles and Andy Lee. I'm not my boy Jimmy Neutron, I'm just me. Here's the chorus now, 1, 2, 3. Now yes, that was a job for me on Andy's pod with Hamish B, and it's caused a little controversy, so this is my apology. I said yes, that was a job for me. I take all responsibility, and please take this as my decree. No more mistakes, cause I'm sorry. I'll be honest, now I'm feeling rebellious. I'm embarrassed, I promise, but let me dispel this. Other mistakes, so please let me tell this. Before we start a hunt where everybody yells, just recently in the Pizza Lotto prank call, Hamish decided that he wasn't gonna play ball, despite the fact that we nailed it in rehearsal, and then it came to it, and Hamish nearly spoiled it all. And Jack is not safe from me, making errors every week in his hobby. And Darcy's like, na. Cuts his errors out to stop him ever looking dumber. And right now, well, it just seems everybody wants to point the finger at me. But I think they should point it at we, as in this podcast we make each week. And I think you'll all agree there's just one man within this team whose record is completely clean, and that man's name is Andy Lee.
I like this.
He knows which side his bread's buttered on. Like, I don't want to be made to do another song. I'll just end with a very
accurate. And let me hear this.
We all make mistakes.
He's got the bill. Wow, Mike, really well done.
Really
Thank you. Thank
Except
you.
for the hand job at the end. Something we need to touch on quickly from something that happened last week. And look, it is to do with a rat test, not rapid antigen, just just rat in the ranks test.
Yes.
People that heard last episode would be aware there was, Mike was on, podcast Mike, and the reason we're slightly hesitant to do this is because the rat's away at the moment, but as the saying goes, the cats will play.
That's not as the saying goes at all.
That's true, actually. We're not scared of the rat. But the rat's away so he can't defend himself.
Yes.
But the cats will certainly have a group meeting in the rat's absence.
Yes.
We can't promise it'll all be positive news for the rat. But that's nature too, that you can't be a rat hoping that if you see 3 cats having a meeting that they're going to be discussing you favourably.
No.
They traditionally aren't a fan of you.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a theory flying around. I can't remember who brought it up or whatever, but it's caught fire that Mike could be a rat.
Trying to bring the show
down from the inside whilst appearing to be a good friend of ours and a positive contributor to the show.
All the best spies do that.
It would be too obvious if he was throwing obvious haymakers. So the listeners, people have caught on and people are sending in lots of, quite interesting evidence from different episodes about where some rat-like behaviour might have occurred. Again, with often no evidence, but that's just the way we like it at the show. Only circumstantial. One thing that caught a lot of people's attention was last week, Mike came in to defend himself on different rat charges, but was talking when he got the neutrons, electrons, protons definition wrong.
Yes.
He came to apologise. He did his apology song, and he mentioned in that interaction that coming up with the things we do at the start of the show that you read out, Ando, the us having 3 titles, us being 3 things that are connected somehow.
Yeah.
He mentioned that was a very, very difficult part of his day. If you aren't familiar with the audio, this is what he said last episode.
Well, can I say, Andy and I probably agree, these are the hardest parts about making these shows.
No, it's not.
The hardest part. The hardest thing about the Hamish and Andy podcast
I'm skis. I'm a toboggan. You're a snowboard. What are we? Things people use in the snow. All right, guys, go home. That's the hard bit over.
No, but now do 20 more of those.
Not 20 in a whole day.
I have to crank these out.
once a week.
I have to crank 28. No, he doesn't.
We've
never required 20. We require 1.
We require 40 a year. So what essentially, and I don't know if we said this last week, when he goes, I've got to crank out 20. Okay, let's assume that he does crank out 20 in a day, which, by the way,
he doesn't.
Now, we're not going to play this game, but easily you could crank out 20 in half an hour.
Yes.
Right. I could crank out 20, I'm confident, in 20 minutes. Anyway, if he had to produce that abnormal amount of, as he's sort of portraying it as like that sweatshop level of work, He's only going to do that twice a year because we do only do 40 episodes a year. So
you'll notice in that audio, he tried to get some support from me.
Yeah, he said, Andy and I will agree.
Yeah. And I think Andy will agree. And
I think Andy will agree. Quick inspection of Andy.
Yeah.
Shake of the head. Quick shake of the I won't agree that that's the hardest part of the show at all, Mike. Anyway, a lot of people, the reason it riled up the listeners is because people do send them in. People have an idea and they go, I got a funny idea and I'll send them in. So they'll either DM Andy or they'll just send them through go to hamishandy.com.
Yep, and I'll flick them to Mike. I flick them to Mike and Carly and go, hey, Mike, can you add this to the list? This is a good one that's been sent in all the time.
I'm not even going to give you the complete list here, but if this supposed hardest part, right, of this impossible work order to fulfill for Mike, who's acting like he's the only person at the Tesla factory and Elon's gone, well, we promised shareholders we're doing 100,000 cars this year. And he's even going, Mamma mia, Mr. Elon, too many cars to promise. I'm but one man, right? That's not what's going on here. This is a very, very fast list. Immune cells in the body sent in by Flynn. Apple Store employees sent in by Brenton. Jesus Apostles by Alan. Underground Miners, that was from Harry. Ultimate Frisbee, Andrew. People in Birthing Room, that was from Emma. Banana Farmers was from Jethro. Dragon Boat Racing from Bobby Firefighter Sam. Members of an Ambulance, Caitlin. Parts of a Tooth, Cassandra. Hemsworth Brothers, Lily. Lacrosse players, Duncan. Operating Theatre staff, Elise. That's not even the definitive list, okay? It goes on and on and on. These are all the people writing and going, hey.
All the ones we've used, which is...
We contribute these. So if Mike's trying to claim this is the hardest part of his job, that is squeaky behaviour.
Yes.
Very squeaky with a long tail.
Rat.
So what's he really doing with his day?
What is he doing?
Why is he so keen for us to think this is the hardest part of his job?
Because...
What's it covering?
Yeah. Interesting.
As we like to do, get no conclusions, just a big question to end on. Anyway, I'm sure he's not a rat.